smart for the moves, they're not hard to find. Strong arm tactics so loud, only themselves in mind. Every player has dreams of making Orca fame. They'll live on in the minds of those who get in their way. Orcas all say, don't come for me. Mid-third boots, they're so vain. As we set up the podcast webcam, the pod is here to talk Orca game. Orca King CK with delusions of fame. In this LRG world, he's the apex predator. Danny and Jules in tow, always ready to go. Now it's time for the show, they're the apex predators.
Hello and welcome to 2026. Welcome to the Orca Pod, the Apex Predators of Australian Survivor LRG podcasting. It is summer, it is hot, and things are heating up on Uncharted Waters. Melbourne Survivor Season 4. It's the merge, baby, and we're getting into all the action of tonight's activity, the merge, the food challenge reward thing, the incredible endurance by two people and the pathetic performance by the rest of them in the immunity challenge, despite Matt C's attempt to get them drunk beforehand. All will be discussed this evening. But welcome to all who are here live. Welcome to 2026. Welcome to the merge. Let me bring in my first of the Orcas tonight. Sadly, for those who dream of the bounty hunter's dulcet tones, he is freezing his ass off in Japan. Lucky for him. He did try to join us, but the coverage was patchy. And if there's one thing we can't stand, it's Mark being broken up by like sound bites. That'd be boring and annoying. And we only like to hear Mark's succinct takes in a clear and present form. So he's had to depart, but do not worry. We have two fabulous Orcas with me, as we usually do on this coverage, to discuss all things merge. Both of these Orcas made the merge, so they know all about merge. They got past the merge boost themselves. They know all about getting past that tricky moment in the game. As did I, I did that too. Okay, let me welcome first for 2026. Let's bring her in. Where's the thing? Bring in Loz. Welcome.
Oh, hi.
Hello, how's your 2026? You excited? You excited for the merge?
I'm excited for the merge. I'm excited for 2026. I'm just excited for life in general. I'm sad for Mark. Excited in general.
Are you sad for Aaron? That was a long pause.
I'm going to try and be very diplomatic about this. No.
The Aaron, unfortunately, is not able to be with us for the interview, and I think it's just not his vibe, and that's fine. And I think we need to be diplomatically sensitive. I actually don't think that Aaron could have done anything more than he tried to do. He tried to make the move that was available, so good on him on that. It's just no one else was willing to make it other than Danny and Jules.
It's too little. It was too little, too late, and I said that weeks ago, and you reap what you sow.
We'll get into that, but I guess you're saying he should have thrown a challenge earlier, but we'll get to that. Let's come back to that. Bringing in the third Orca, the man needs no introduction, so I won't give him one. Let's bring him in. Let's bring in Josh.
Hey.
Hello, Dad.
Oh my God, I'm looking so ugly right now with my ugly glasses. But hello, I'm here.
Cute.
Do you normally wear glasses? Are they new glasses?
No, maybe I wear my other ones normally, or my contacts, but I can just be blind if you want.
All right, we're already talking about this. We're already getting into merge with Aaron. I've got a message from Mark who says he's sorry he can't be here, but he wants a claim for calling that Aaron would be the merge boot, which he did do. He did do that.
I think
made
we all
himself-
called that. We talked about it.
Maybe.
I don't know. I thought one of you said Greg.
Oh,
Does
I
that
think
make-
I said Greg. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
I did.
Maybe you weren't there for that. I don't know. Okay, we all said it, but what could have Aaron done differently to survive this? Like, so let's just recap what he did do in this episode. He went with Danny and Jules. He voted for Greg with them. He thought he'd procured some numbers on Greg. Obviously, he hadn't. Greg was a sensible target for him to go for in the group, I think, of the people that were the old 7. He was seen as a leader. He was putting people offside. He put Mietta and Evan offside during the swap stage. Aaron voted the right way. He didn't have a lot of social capital and therefore wasn't able to get necessarily the numbers resolved. What more could he have done, Loz? You're not happy. You're not happy with his game. But what could he have done? Tell me.
I don't think he could have done anything with the way that he played. I think the changes that needed to be made to have saved him at this point needed to happen substantially earlier on. It was like 11th hour. And what I had said originally when the tribe swapped and Nassau ended up with the whole brand new, and it was the 2 girls on the bottom and the 4 dominating and Greg not playing along and not letting them strategize. That was the point where something needed to shift. And he may not have had any leverage. I think Mietta and Evan, not the people. Now that we're seeing, I think in hindsight, now that we're seeing it play out, I don't know that there was much that could have been done with the 2 he got. And the damage was probably done at that first vote. So, but I think even leading up to it all this way, he'd kind of flip-flopped. And we'd seen that in episodes where he didn't commit. He talked about it kind of, but then he changed his mind. You had to pick a course of action. And I think commitment earlier and maybe showing Danny and Jules earlier, back when he wasn't at risk, maybe he could have shifted it. To me, it just felt like a last-ditch effort when he no longer had any collateral to play with.
But let's say he throws a challenge, which is the only way they're going to travel. How based on the fact that they all voted for him now, and Greg, Mietta, Evan, they're all on board with that. How do we know that in the scenario that he throws a challenge in the swap, they don't do the same thing to account for an immunity situation? Do you think something in the merge saved Greg that might not have saved him in a swap? Maybe Josh.
Yeah, I feel like if they'd lost a challenge in the swap, I feel like it wouldn't have been Aaron. But yeah, I mean, I agree with everything really that Loz said. I just feel like Aaron was he just never had footing in the game. Like, you could always see this kind of thing coming for him. He reminds me of that guy from your season, Loz. Was it Aiden? That guy, like similar archetype.
100%. Yes.
Just
yes.
like never could get footing in the game. You could always see he's just a bit of cannon fodder kind of thing.
Like there was a commitment point where Greg was being a dick at the swap tribe. He had the girls offside. He wasn't strategizing. That was when, if I was Aaron, I would have, behind his back on to Danny and Jules, I'm done with him. Whatever he's saying, it's not me. It's not my game. When we have the chance, we will work together and we're going to push this forward. And that was when, at least with three committed players, you might have had more leverage on Evan. You might have had more leverage on Mietta. But he never committed to that. He kept going along with the 4 strong, the blue strong. And maybe behind the scenes he was saying something else, but that's not what we saw. It felt sketchy. I really did.
You got your biggest cheer squad in the comments from your boy Eden, and he's going on about 3, 2, 1 that could have occurred in the swap should they have gone to tribal, the pinks. I have some insight on this that much like the grand Dale plan that I sought to orchestrate in my swap tribe that never went to swap, there is, so it went to tribal. There is a fairly consensus view that the most likely outcome of a tribal, of that pink tribal before they went to swap, is a 3-2-1 on Greg, orchestrated with Aaron and the girls, right? That it would have been an amazing play that we would have seen. That is the general, like, you never know because no one was actually in the situation, but that is the general consensus of what might have happened. I still think even if Aaron pulls that move off with Danny and Jules and Greg goes in the swap, he still gets voted out at the merge because now he's the flipper who fucked them over. Like, and
you know, I don't buy that though because he's a flipper who they need. Like,
who needs him? Who needs him?
Well, you know what, Danny and Jules at that point, you've got Mietta and Evan who are now in a minority. Ash, KK, and Mars have a whole different thing going on that no one else is a part of. To me, you have a Danny, Jules, Aaron. You've got a Mars, Ash, KK, and then you've got a Mietta, Evan sitting on the outside with no numbers. They're the bottom. So to me, no, Aaron doesn't go.
You think that Evan and Mietta are flipping to the Danny, Jules, Aaron contingent in that scenario?
No, I don't. That's my point, is that I think Greg is gone. They had pinned their entire game on the Greg, Aaron, Evan, Mietta. Greg's gone. Aaron's flipped. Aaron's now with Danny and Jules. That's a 3. You've got a 3 there. You've got a 3 with Ash, Mars, and KK. And you have Mietta and Evan who are on the bottom of the last vote and lost their biggest ally and have no relationship. Really, very little relationship, Mietta nothing, and Evan very small relationship with Mars, with that 3 who've now survived all of the, you know, the traumatic experience that they've just had on the new Tortuga. So I don't think Aaron goes at all.
Wait, look at Jules's comment as well. That is actual tea.
So he's saying Aaron wouldn't be the merge because Chris is still in the game that I postulated. Mars is as well. So Chris is not in the game. Chris is in the game. So they've got a 4-person alliance with an idol. Then you have a 3-person alliance. And then you have a 2-person where Evan and Mietta are going to go. They also have an idol. You know, I think what we were looking in a lot of that, maybe it's a 5-4, but from this episode, it seems to me that Ash is really hooked in with everyone, even the people that she hasn't been with for some time. Like Evan seemed to be taking a lot of guidance, really like, you know, merging in with Ash. And Evan talked about in the confessional that he thinks Ash is a power player in the game and that she needs to go, but she doesn't. I don't want to take her out now. So unless Evan in that scenario is flipping to that group to make that play, but we've heard from Evan repeatedly that he's not interested in making big moves yet, and he doesn't like players that make big moves for the sake of it.
Yeah, look, Evan, I've been watching, I'm rooting for him. He's always got these confessionals of like, you know, I'm in the middle spot. I could make a big move. I could do this. I could do that. And then he never does it. Same with Mietta a little bit, but she doesn't even talk about it. It's not even in Mietta's head. She's just playing a boring basic game. Sorry.
Good game, boring. Agreed.
And it's frustrating because I'm like, you've got all the I don't know, you've got all, you know, it's like when you do a test, like Evan's got all the working out done and then he just puts the wrong answer. It's boring. I'm sorry. It annoys me. Love him though, but make a move, please.
Well, put this to you. It is boring, but strategically, is Evan making the right or wrong move from your perspective? Where is that?
Honestly,
watered
he's
down.
gonna lose if he keeps doing the same thing. He's gonna lose and sit next to like Greg, who's done the exact same game but been in charge. So I feel like his only option is to flip, change something up. If he sits next to Danny and Jules, he also loses. But maybe
I feel like it's a losing game.
Work it. Yeah, it's a losing game at this point.
And do you think so? Could he win against Greg? Greg is not very well liked.
No, I don't think so. No, because in the end,
I'd vote for Greg at this point.
Yeah, I would too. I'd vote for him over Evan.
Yeah.
And absolutely over Mietta.
Yeah, and KK, to be honest.
Yeah, and KK. Because I don't think KK will articulate herself, whereas I think Greg will get to the end. And I think he can articulate why he did what he did. Evan, I don't think he will. He'll just say, well, getting to the end was the most important thing. So I did whatever it took to get there. And that meant doing nothing. Never made a move. Never switched it up. Never took a risk. But look, hey, it got me here. And all of a sudden you're a 0 vote finalist.
Yeah.
Well, I still don't think Aaron could have done much, but because even if we have to go back in these hypotheticals, he has to throw a challenge. He can't actually throw the challenge immediately before this because he was sitting out of it, noting that he probably didn't sit out of the prior challenge, and you can't sit out of back-to-back challenges. So he would have had to throw like the second challenge they did, which, it's pretty ballsy to throw that, I guess. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
but like I said, I think it goes back earlier than that. Like, I think Aaron just set himself up wrong straight away on Tortuga. And whatever it was that what got people offside, there was no, like, he didn't recover from it. There needed to be a recovery that I never saw. And so throwing a challenge, whatever it was, he needed damage control that he didn't do. And so by the time that he needed leverage, there was none, because he'd let those relationships kind of flounder.
I agree with you 100% on that. He had a whole day without going to a tribal to repair relationships or build better relationships. Probably not with Greg, but with Mietta and with Evan. I do think that they're similar personalities. They're quieter type people. They can connect. They can talk about, look at Greg over there being ridiculous, and we're over here like, just being smart, considered people. He put the work into Danny and Jules, and I think was quite effective in that, although they had nowhere else to go. But I do think that you're right. He could have spent that day building a better relationship with Evan and Mietta. And I think if he had Evan on Mietta,
they were looking for direction as well. They didn't want to make the moves. So be the person to go, hey, here's what I'm thinking. Here's how we could make it work. We don't have to look like the bad guys. Danny and Jules will take the fall, but you know what? We're making those strategic moves. They're big moves for us. They're going to, pad out our resumes. We're not going to be a threat, and because nobody's going to see it as being us, but we're the ones making those moves. And I think that's the way I would have sold it, because that's exactly what Mietta and Evan are looking for. They want moves that they'll get credit for, that don't make them a threat. And he had that chance.
I think you're spot on, actually, here. We hear from Mietta on this confession in this episode that she talks about she doesn't really know the game, and that's her weakness. And if Aaron loves Survivor. He knows the game. So if he could have connected with her and been, look, I want to work with you. I think we're similar sort of people who sit back, we analyze, we consider what the circumstances are, and then make the best play. You're not a big fan. I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan of Survivor. You haven't watched much or any. We can come together and talk about the strategy if that suits you. And he did have a whole day to do that. Now, if he was going to lots of tribals, sure, like it's hard to build those bonds. But if you're sitting, and I've done that, I've sat around for a whole day, and if you want to build a bond with someone in a whole day, you can do it. So I think that he was probably shell shocked from the first tribal, and didn't get himself in a position to make those new bonds with people who were available to pick up, because Evan and Mietta were not. It was
almost like he got trapped in this cycle of the vote, that extra vote that got thrown at their first tribal, and he kind of just went around in circles with it. And it was like he was just trapped in this wheel. Mm-hmm. And that stopped mattering. The moment the tribes switched up, he needed to regroup, and I never saw him regroup. Like, I never saw him get his head get his head into the game. And to me, right up until the last minute, I still didn't know what Aaron was doing. He was just so vague, and so, it was, we could do this, and I think Mietta's on side, and I'm not really sure about Evan, and there was just never any kind of commitment or conviction to what the outcome was. And even at tribal, he sat there and I don't know what the goal of the conversations were, but I think I'm at the bottom. I think I'm at the bottom of the tribe. Well, like, do you really think that? Or are you?
Well, he
is this
clearly did.
like
He
a
clearly did because
strategy now?
he voted with Danny and Jules. So clearly
He did.
he thought he was at the bottom.
But I mean, you don't like show some authority or something to say, well, look, yeah, it sucked. I have been at the bottom. I know I've struggled, but it's a new game. We've merged, there's dynamics, something to say that I'm taking control of my fate. But it was like fate just happened around him.
Can I ask one final thing on you guys? Did you ever receive a vote in this game in your LRGs or perhaps an org where you didn't know where the vote came from? Have you ever had that occur? So I had it happen once to me in an org, and I lost my mind about it. Like I completely lexed out about it. Like who voted for me? Who did? Like it didn't matter. It was one vote. Like, it did not. I did it also in a drunk Viber where I lost my mind about it, right? And honestly, if I ever had the chance again, I would just not care. It doesn't matter if someone voted for you when you weren't voted out. 1 vote, 2 votes, it doesn't matter. You were a fallback, you weren't the target, or someone threw a vote on you because they're trying to upset you, they're trying to bother you. Just move on from it. That's my advice. And I think Aaron, as you rightly point out, never got over it. He assumed it was Greg. That was incorrect. And he was always fixated upon that. And it's very hard. I can tell you, I had it in, as I said, I had it in an org and I really struggled with it. And then I had it in drunk Fiverr and I really struggled with it. And I now know that you really just can't know everything and do not worry about it. That would be my advice. Can we run through? I want to run through everyone. Josh, I'll hear from you, your comments. I want to run through everyone in this episode and what they were doing and what we think about what they were doing in terms of how they sought to play the merge. You obviously talked about Aaron significantly. Josh, give me your thoughts on Mars and in particular his play, but in particular his attempt to gaslight Danny and Jules into wasting the idol.
Yeah, I think Mars, I think he played this merge how he, like, pretty optimally, really. Like, I feel like he was, having the right conversations, but he wasn't playing too much. He was like, everybody knows, like, he's talked up as this challenge threat and, this big target and everything. But I think he was, apart from him, like, almost winning the challenge, I think he, really kind of played his threat level like under the radar as much as he could have done. I think that was good. The moment that's standing out for me in regards to Mars was when Danny, was it at Uncharted Waters, and I think was it Evan, Mars and Danny were having a chat, and Danny just goes like it seemed like Mars was really trying, and Evan were like pitching to Danny, like, oh, we want to work with you, whether it was true or not. And then Danny just kind of cockblocks herself and just goes to Mars's face, oh yeah, biggest threats, well, you. And I was like, Danny, like, love you, and I love the boldness, but like, what are you doing? They're like trying to help you, and you just like basically threw a drink to his face. I was shook. Yeah, I don't know. What do you think?
Danny was also all over this episode. As the Jules, they were both out of control. Well, what do you think, Loz? You've won a few challenges in your time playing Survivor. We've got some comments from Jules, I think, on the episode and now here, that Mars didn't need to go that hard in the challenge. He didn't need to make this whole song. Look, his performance was incredible. I was there. It did actually go for that long. And that thing was fucking painful. And it was unbelievable how long he and Mietta went for. It was crazy. Like, it went for like 45 minutes to an hour. It was nuts. But, and he's twisting and turning. It's great television. But, and maybe he can't see how comfortable Mietta is behind him so easily because she's fine. But look, people are already going to see him as a physical target. is there any value, or is it that white line fever? Even though you shouldn't do this, once you're there, you're like, I've got to win immunity. What do you think, Loz?
Wait, before you start, Loz, can I just say a comment? Mars,
Of course.
I think we need to honor him for his representation for the foot fetish community during this episode. He was giving, he started off a new pathway in my life. He just looked really good during that challenge.
Josh has had an awakening.
Mars. Love, epiphany. Sorry, Loz, go ahead. But yeah, go Mars.
It did not have that impact on me. But each to his own. Look, it's an interesting one because if it hadn't been Mars, if it had been anyone who we know is not a massive challenge beast who had fought to the death like that with Mietta, we would have been high-fiving them. With Mars, it's a given. We get it. Okay, you've dominated challenges. Everyone's seen it. It's not hidden. You're good at them. And it was almost I know I don't need it, but fuck you, I'm going to try and get it anyway. And everyone's cold. It went forever. There's nothing worse than sitting around in the friggin' cold waiting because two people's egos won't let them end a challenge in a reasonable amount of time. And that's what it was. It was ego. He didn't want to lose. He didn't need it. And to me, there were social decisions that needed to override that particular little ego. And to me, that's like I said, it was an ego thing. Mietta doesn't understand, I don't think, the social dynamics of the game enough. She's clearly competitive. So in her mind, well, I can win, so I can win. And that's how I'm going to get to the end of the game, is I can keep winning challenges because I'm good at them, without realizing the target that paints. Mars understands the target that paints. So, you know what? Good. Now you are a huge target. Now your little blue alliance is fracturing. So pivot.
What do you think about the gaslighting? Eden's made a comment about it that was funny because it's like, we want to work with you, but only if you have an idol. Do you have one? Like it just seemed like fake, over the top. Like no one was buying it.
To me, it was patronizing. To me, it was like Danny's played before. Okay, she's not stupid. Really, like that's your angle that you're going to come at with me? Like no. I thought it was quite patronizing, and this is where Mars's game will suffer and Ash's won't, because Ash has more social finesse, whereas Mars thinks he's got things wrapped up. And there was a real arrogance to the way he played, I think, this episode. And I love Mars. I mean, I do, but I think there's no need for it right now. You've got the numbers, you've got the majority. You're dictating the game. You're clearly a challenge threat. Do what Ash is doing and minimize your threat level. But her plan is working better. He wanted her as a shield. Well, it's not happening. He's the shield. And when she's ready, he'll go and Ash will survive it.
Let's talk about Ash's game and the social work she's putting in. From your perspective, how many people do you think she's got good relationships with, working with? Josh, what do you think? Who's she connected with?
Honestly, almost everybody. Like she obviously has, connection. She has the OG 4 alliance with KK, Mars, and Greg. I feel like she's probably least connected to probably Mietta, actually, out of everybody. I don't really recall them having too much of whatever to do with each other. But I feel like Ash's name kept coming up in a secondary context of Ash is playing the game. She's a good, she's a big threat. She's doing this, she's doing that. How kind of Mars and Ash are the two biggest targets. And it seems like Mars is definitely out there in front because of the challenge threat aspect. It seems like people have clocked on now, very rightly so, of Ash being the strategic and social threat. And we also saw Ash, I felt like Ash was actually almost going to flip with Danny and Jules. I feel like she was having a lot of conversations with Danny and Jules throughout the episode and the strat chats and stuff. And yeah, maybe other people now, it's really like becoming obvious to them that Ash is becoming this bigger threat. So I think after the Aaron vote, like, yeah, maybe Ash needs to watch her back a bit. And yeah, maybe like her two-faced gameplay, which I love. She's been doing really amazing, but it looks like it might be starting to catch up with her.
Well, Jules makes the point that Danny and her were convinced she was voting with us and she was never going to play the idol. She felt secure in that because Jules and Danny could see it on their faces when the votes came out. They were certain it was Greg. They were shocked when Aaron got voted out. They were like, what? Like, they had been absolutely fooled in what is a really sensible strategic move for the Ash Mars contingent to counter Jules's idol, and that's remove someone completely expendable to them like Aaron, but who is essential to Danny and Jules, like in numbers they might need to make. It's the perfect move for them. And Eden again here makes the point that it felt so believable because she'd convinced Danny and Jules. I really like here she is, the star herself. I really like what I think Ash does really well this entire game is she's being the person that each person she's trying to work with wants her to be, right? So with Danny and Jules,
she wears different hats.
Yeah, she's a powerful, strong woman. Let's all get together. We're all powerful, strong women. With Mars, it's about strategy and a bit of cheekiness in the strategy, and we're the power duo, and we're going to take all these people out. With KK, it's like we're just here for a good time, and I love you, and you love me, and like it's all we're all those nice, happy people, and this is sad that we have to vote people out. And then what I really loved in this episode is the effort she went to with her conversation with Evan, which was someone she needed to reconnect with, and it was soft, it was subtle, it was about how she is she knows the game, but she's a little bit unsure. Evan, what do you think? He's like, maybe this. She's like, oh, that, yeah, okay, I don't mind that idea. But Evan's also a bit uncertain, unsure. So it's like really giving Evan reinforcement for the way he's feeling. And there's a lot of reinforcement of everyone's approach, style, feelings, and intent that she's doing with everyone masterfully. And that's what I think is so impressive in what she's doing.
Agreed. And I've said this the whole way through. Ash is an absolute master at the social game. She has incredible reads on people, and she's got a level of empathy that she's able to engage and understand what they need from her and how she can adjust. And we've seen it, in every point in the game, in the pivots, in the way that she plays Mars, in the way that Mars is. I disagree with Josh a bit in that I don't actually think, while people are talking about Ash, they're not talking about her in the way they're talking about Mars as a challenge threat. People still want to keep Ash around. They recognize that she's got a level of control in the game, but not a level that they want to get rid of. And that's exactly where you want to be. You want to have the control, but you want people to keep you around because those people want you to control the game for them. And I think that's where she's at. And I don't think Mars has that. And, her subtleties in how she plays each of them individually. I mean, with KK, they walk and she's got her arm around her and she's whispering in her ear. And, it's the body language. It's the whole thing. Like, it's just a whole package game. And to me, no one else is putting it together that way. I compare it to Danny, who's another power player, but who's playing a much more, heart on my sleeve, emotional game. She stands there in front of, Mars and Evan and says, well, Mars, you're the biggest challenge threat, so you're going to be out next. And, there are two very different kind of strategies and emotional kind of strategies to playing the game. And I love the duality of it. But I think Ash is playing a much longer term game. I see the longevity of it still, and I see her outlasting, because I think KK isn't going to flip on her. I don't think she will. And I think Evan would stick with her. I think people will stick with her over any other option.
The only person who has actually, because the person that's flagged her is Evan. Evan has identified in his discussions with us, the audience, that she is a huge threat and she has to go, but he does not have the confidence to make that move at the moment.
Which makes that opinion irrelevant. Because if
Yeah.
you're not going to pitch it, if you're not going to argue it, well, who's going to do it?
Josh.
Yeah, I just wanted to add a point, like how Jules said in the comments that they were like, and we could see from their reaction that the girls, like Danny and Jules and Aaron, like 100% thought Ash was going to vote out Greg. She didn't do that, but at the same time, she didn't burn the girls. Like Jules and Danny didn't get any votes for themselves, and
They
also
saved their idol.
yeah, and she saved their idol. Like she could have said, "Oh, you need to play it on whoever or whatever," and burn the idol. She didn't do that. So even though, like, yeah, she literally played everybody, but still kept everybody happy, even though she didn't do what she was expected. Like she can go back.
Game.
Yeah, honestly, she's playing amazingly. And yeah, she can go back and still have those two girls as like numbers to work with and an idol there as well.
Imagine in final 2 or 3 and argue, you know, all right, tell me about your big moves in the game. Well, at Merge, you know, I successfully played one side off against the other, got a person out that I didn't care about, kept all my allies on side, saved an idol that probably will come into play later on to help, you know, move forward to get rid of another bigger threat. Like it's just really elegant gameplay. I'm super here for it. I love watching it.
Just talk about some interesting gameplay and a play we haven't talked about too much in the context of the strat chat. Mietta, unfamiliar with the game, makes a move I've not seen before in Survivor history. She's like, I've got an idol that expires in one tribal council.
Stop me.
I'm immune. I'll give you that. If you got something else to give me, like I'll trade. What do we think? I think it's crazy, but it's fresh. And is it that crazy?
I was gagged. I was like, why would you do that? Seriously.
Why not?
Like, I just don't even know. Like, seriously, why would you do that? Like, what? As if Jules is going to say anything. Like, I don't know. Like, I mean, I know she hasn't watched Survivor. Maybe that's why. But who would do that?
It's insane. Jules is on the chopping block, right? She doesn't know if Jules has anything. Jules and Danny are literally fighting for their lives to stay in this game. And Mietta's like, well, I mean, I keep winning immunities and stuff. And by the way, I've actually got this idol. So like, I could give it to you, you know, if you had something for me. And they're like, we're trying to not get voted out. Our name is coming up at this next tribal. And it was almost oh, really? Oh, well, you know.
But I think she's there for the deal. If Jules had something that was not expiring in one episode's time, I feel like we would have done trade.
If Jules had something, do you think Jules and Danny would have been so desperate?
Like an extra vote. Jules does have something. She's got the idol. Unless there was an extra vote.
But that's not going to save them both. I mean, it's that is a very limited power.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. If Jules had an extra vote and Mietta that doesn't expire, let's say it goes to final 5, right? I think Mietta would have traded her idol, which expires in one episode, for Jules's extra vote, which Jules absolutely would have done as a deal. Because then they've got 2 idols for the next tribal council, if not this one. Like, that's what I think Mietta was trying to do.
Two advantages.
Yeah,
so
if Jules had an
extra idol and an advantage.
Yeah,
if Jules had an idol and an advantage, do you really think her and Danny would have been so like absolutely balls to the wall?
You didn't steal a vote. Extra vote, steal a vote, does nothing.
No,
the numbers still got.
No.
See, Jules would have taken the 2 idols. Jules would have done the deal. Definitely would have done the deal. What would she?
I don't know. I struggled with Mietta this episode. I can't lie.
Eden's with me on this one. He's been with you all night, Loz, but he's come over to the dark side. If it wasn't expiring and she wasn't a moon, I'd be way more critical. But a stealer vote, like that might be worth more to her than idol that lasts one more round. I think it really does. I don't think
Mietta. Pretend that the idol doesn't expire.
Jules knows it expires.
Well, Jules knows hers expires. Every advantage has been different the whole game.
No, it's the tribe idol. Like, of course, it's going to have the same
Which
rules.
Danny effectively lied to Chris about and said that it wasn't a tribe idol, it was only a
Chris
camp
didn't believe
idol.
it for a single. We had Chris on the show. He didn't believe that for a fucking minute.
You can still lie. No, I thought it was uncool. I didn't like it.
I liked it. I think it's bold and innovative, and it's you only get from people that have never watched the show. Never. Anyone who's ever watched the show would never do that. So I like the bold thinking Mieta.
Well,
who have we talked
talking
about?
about
KK.
Mieta.
No, you're talking about Mieta? Yep. No, you go, Josh.
Yeah,
KK.
Like, she's probably been the person with maybe the smallest edit, maybe up until this point. And she did kind of get more screen time this episode. But I could definitely, like, in her chats with Greg, it seemed like maybe the power kind of got to her head, and she seemed a bit smug, a bit like, oh, I can do this, I'm immune. And I kind of found myself like, you know, I was rooting for her to like make a big move and do this and team up with the girls. And then this kind of just showed me she's never going to do that. She just wants the power, just wants an easy cruise to the end. And yeah, I just saw a different side of her that was a bit smug, and I didn't really like it. And she mentioned noticing, I think she said Mars, KK, and Ash as a tight 3, and she wanted the other side of the 7, like the 4, Evan herself, Aaron, and Greg to be like the final 4. So at least she is thinking more in that strategic sense, but nothing that she said was that she wants to upset the trajectory of the game. She just wants to stick to that boring 7 and stick it out and just win challenges. And I just find that not exciting. Maybe successful. She could maybe win, could be good, but it's not exciting as a viewer.
And I totally agree, Josh, 100%. I just think when you've cruised through the whole game, and as she said, immune the only time she ever went to tribal prior, she was immune, and immune again, to do nothing, absolutely nothing in the game up to that point, and then to think that, you know, you can win a couple of challenges and be pleasant enough to get by, and that'll get you to the end and win the game, when people are fighting for their lives and, you know, like Chris getting voted out, clawing, you know, to the last breath. I had a really hard time with it. You know, as someone who got taken out fighting to the death, you know, absolutely, and had fought at every tribal that I'd gone to, it's hard to watch. Like, it's hard to, you know, at least have some empathy to understand how it feels to not be on the top. But to me, there's just none of that. It was very, I agree, it was smug. There was a real arrogance with her and Greg, and just how locked in it was. And, you know, once we get to 7, well, 7 will decide what we're going to do, because, you know, 7's a guarantee kind of thing.
To be clear, though, from Greg, that was all bullshit, because he was voting for Aaron. Like, that was pure posturing at tribal council.
Well, I feel like it wasn't a long-term goal. I do feel like it was a shift in the waters when the merge happened and other opinions came back into the game. I think he was forced to make that pivot. I think had Mars, Ash, and KK come back in, said Danny and Jules are gone, I think Greg would have gone with it. Ditched the 2 girls, gone to 7. I think he made that play last minute because he didn't really have much of a choice. It was him or Aaron.
It could also be Jules's idol. That really, they knew she had it. They had that information from Chris. It doesn't make any sense to take a punt on a 50-50 when you've got Aaron there ready to go. But I do think Greg was deliberately playing into that discussion so they would have zero suspicion that the actual move wasn't Aaron. The odds of them playing an idol on Aaron are very low, and I think he knows that. But it's still worth completely selling the lie at the tribal council.
I thought the tribal council was excellent. Actually, it was my favorite Greg moment of the whole episode.
Greg was, let's talk about Greg then. Greg was brilliant in this episode. You know, I can tell you, like, when this episode, when we're making this show, we're like, Greg is such a good villain, and like, but the funny thing about Greg the villain is Greg thinks he's the hero of the story. Like when I went out there and was a villain, I'm like, I'm the villain, I'm the bad guy of this, and that's what my absolute
villain
intent is,
too.
the biggest asshole possible. Like that was my plan, and I did it. Greg doesn't realize he's the villain. He thinks he's the hero, right? Which makes him so entertaining to watch. And I think he
You'd be
is
so
good.
blindsided. Like that's what I'm most looking forward to, is that in his mind, this game plan is foolproof. It's playing out just like he wants. Everything he says is coming to pass. And when he goes, it's going to be like a absolute like club to the head. He's going to go, what the fuck just happened? Because everything has, in his mind, everything's worked so perfectly to this point because he's the hero.
Danny and Jules aren't happy about this, but honestly, they are so great in this tribal. They're great. The way they're fighting, the way they're arguing, it's absolutely amazing. But if he wasn't biting back, then there would be nothing. If no one says something in response to what you're saying, this is like the tribal I had when I went out where I was arguing with Chloe. Chloe's fighting back with me, and it's fucking infuriating me, and that's hilarious. Brady's saying nothing, right? You need a foil, and Greg is absolutely serving and hitting back to what the girls are hitting at him, and that's what makes it so entertaining. So they all deserve props. Certainly Danny and Jules absolutely deserve props for the way they're absolutely teeing off at this tribal council, which is amazing. But yes, you would have argued with Liz, sure. And Liz was a bit on fire. I'll talk about that a bit later.
She was. Liz really, she was trying to get blood from stones.
But you know, I think you might want to give Greg some props. Fine, Jules, but he deserves some props here, just like you and Danny deserve props for bringing the drama.
No, I agree. I think Greg, he's playing. You can't really fault his game. Like he's like a big bully, like tribe leader, like a Boston Rob in like Redemption Island. It's like, oh, you're sick of him, but it's like, but you're doing everything you should be doing, really. Like you can't fault it. Like, yeah, I think I loved him fighting at Tribal Council with Danny and Jules. They were reminding me of little me and Rachel on my season when, like, we knew we were gone and we were fighting with the boring yellow tribe, like just giving that feistiness that I really love and respect that in LRGs, like, because it's obviously not as big stakes as like proper Survivor. But when people are just so invested, and this means the world to some of us, just to see that just vitality and just fierceness, I just love it.
But it's the obliviousness. That's the thing. He's not the Boston Rob, though. That's the thing that makes it so entertaining, is that what he thinks is happening and what is actually happening are two very different things. So for me, that's what makes Greg entertaining, is he really does. To me, he thinks a whole other scenario is playing out where he is the hero. He is the mob boss. He is calling all the shots. And I don't think that's what's happening. I really don't. And if it is, and I'm going to be proven wrong, well, I'm proven wrong. But I don't think that's the case. And I do think that there's going to come a vote soon, and he's going to think he's totally in control of it. And it's going to be a massive blindside for him. Everyone else is going to see it coming, and he won't, because he's living in this other universe that isn't real.
Wow, Eden coming with the fire in the comments. Wow.
It's too long, didn't read. But he's like, Greg's, especially the general is Greg is got bad jury management. If he is going to get to the end, he's losing votes left, right, and center. But there's a lot of potential goats sitting around this cast. Earlier this on, you said like you would vote for Greg over a number of people. So would you, Josh, right? So because he's played the game, whether you like the way he played the game or not, he played the game. Like, yes, obviously if he's there with someone of Ash's caliber in the game she's playing, well, he's not going to win, that, is he? But like you'd have to assume. But the fact is, in a game with dude, like too long didn't read. Give us the too long didn't read, please, Eden. I'm summarizing it. the Greg would have been last. It's just because he pissed you off so bad. Well, fair enough, I guess. Poor jury management. All right, we haven't talked about KK. Last on, I don't know if there's much to say except for, she found the advantage that bothered you all so much last year that you didn't know if he was going. He was definitely saying, I told you, she found the callback to All Stars and Guatemala determining who gets what food at the merge feast. This was my idea. What did you guys think of it? Especially now I told you it was my idea. Enjoy, don't enjoy.
It's all right.
I think great in theory, horrible in execution, only because of all the people. I mean, you had Danny, Jules, Mars, or Ash gotten that advantage. Different story. Had Mietta, Greg, Evan, Aaron, or KK have gotten the advantage, blah. And that's what it was.
I would have liked to have seen Evan or Aaron or Mietta with the advantage because I would have liked to have seen them. How did they, who are in the middle, expose their feelings about their tribe?
I don't think it's that shocking. I mean, it was blue. The fact is, you go for the 4 blue that were on your current tribe, the next couple of blue that were on the other tribe that, you've been separated from, and then the pinks at the bottom. To me, it wasn't going to be game-changing. I think the only time it would have really shaken it up is if someone like Danny or Jules had had a chance to target deliberately who they thought was in charge of the blues to try and make the point that we're going to give this meal to this individual because you might not see it, but they're the ones calling the shots. We're going to give this meal to this individual because they're actually, using the rest of you as a shield or something like that. I just think in maybe an episode's time would have been a better time. I love it. But timing's up.
Yeah, look, you can't control these things on production. There was a comment on the YouTube videos that production should have stepped in and hang on, I'm going to...
Yeah, I did see that. I said that and mix it up so that the...
Yeah, but production can't interfere with the game because the game isn't going in the way that you want it to go. It's completely unfair.
This is one quick point I wanted to make, okay? Danny and Jules did end up on the bottom with no pinks left. But that was because Danny took out every big, strong guy on Nassau because they were threats. So she took out all the physical threats on Nassau, which then resulted in their tribe losing. Take out a big guy, take out a big guy, take a guy, taking out big, strong people who probably would have helped in the challenges, which then they kept losing, and then you end up swapped. So there are consequences to actions in that sense. So, and that's why production doesn't step in, because Nassau didn't keep losing because they're a bad tribe. They lost because of choices that the tribe made. And
I want to say, Danny had a comment, and I had this. I've got this in my notes as well. Actually, yeah, she didn't remember Jules or Danny's name. Bad gameplay. That actually really annoyed me because I'm like, I played a couple of these games. Even people that I was never on a tribe with, you always have behind the scenes, little interactions. Everybody's name.
To not remember that
is offensive. It is offensive and it's disrespectful and it's rude. I would be really
trouble. Is it jewel like a jewel, like in jewelry? Is it jewel with an S? Is it? I mean, come on.
You guys are disrespecting the situation of how bad it was. Danny had, in the last 2 episodes, I think it was the last episode, she had a lengthy conversation with Christelle about saving Chris.
And she was crying and
they hugged and connected after Danny knocked her off in the water. This isn't just someone who's been on the other tribe. This is like someone that, from Danny's perspective, they've had moments. It's like, what is your name again?
Yeah.
Like,
it's just it's rude.
If she makes it to the end, she's not getting jury votes.
No,
Can we just say
On
that
to
Eden loves
KK, I have a
Christelle.
few comments. I do love her, but there was
She's
a
like,
few moments.
Gamebot does give character moments.
Yeah, true.
True.
But KK, she had a few moments. She's playing a losing game. Like, she's reminding me of like Sophie from Canberra 2. Like, she's just playing to be other people's backup dancers and getting 0 votes at the end. She even says it herself one point. Oh, I'm playing the supporting character role.
Supporting actor.
Why
Yeah.
would you even say that? Why would you think that? Why would you even apply to play an LRG if you're just going in defeatist and that you don't even want to win? Like, what's the point? Like, you know, she's afraid of water. She's done all this stuff. She should be proud of that and be like, I'm pushing myself. I've overcome this. I've done this. Instead, no, she's happy with just flopping, and it's annoying. And she had comments like, what does it say in my notes? She's made a comment like, oh, I feel like Mars maybe isn't as tight with herself and Ash, but that's okay. That's not okay. Why are you happy with that? You should be saying Mars should be tight with us. If he's not, I need to make other, you know, inroads with people.
But there's absolutely no drive
giving herself up.
at all. It's like an arrogance, but kind of like Mietta, you know, that smugness, but almost like in a different sense where Mietta was kind of smug that her plan's working and she's going to make it. KK doesn't care if it works or it doesn't work.
Yeah, 100%.
And that's, at this point, it's just, you know, you're literally a goat. You're the very definition of a goat. This is how, when they created Goat and Survivor, this is you. And you're so deep in the game now. Is there no fire? Is there no drive?
Yeah.
And it breaks my heart because I think she'll make it. I really do think she's going to make it super, super far. I could see KK making it to final 3. Truly.
Yeah, same.
And because who wouldn't want to take her?
Yeah. But she also has that social capital.
4 and 3 and be like, oh yeah, well, you know, I think they're going to take me because, you know, I've been like a really good support to them. But, you know, like that was kind of my game the whole way through. And so yeah, I'm probably just going to tell the jury that.
Yeah.
That's what she'll do.
You did the plates really well. I think the decision to give the third thing, the gnocchi, to Aaron was quite smart. She knew that Aaron was on the bottom.
I don't think that was strategic at all.
No.
I think she just thought Aaron liked pasta.
Yeah. Literally loves. Agree. There was no strategy.
Oh my God.
Aaron was probably like, oh, I'm hungry. And she just gave him that because it's the most filling
thing. She gave
thing.
me out of the vegetarian vegan, the tuna, and then the milk. I mean, come on.
Is she a vegan?
Yeah, like I'm a bitch. I would have given a vegan something with meat in it and on purpose just to be a bitch.
Now, I'd like to say that look, honestly, when I designed the concept and I found out Christelle had found the thing, I was a bit disappointed.
Stole concept.
It was not going to.
You stole it.
When I designed that would have the concept in it, I was disappointed that Christelle had found it because I felt like she's not going to have. Yeah, Greg was not happy with the tuna. Jules was not impressed. Jules should have been happy with 2 boiled eggs. Though. 2 boiled eggs is actually better than 3 bananas, I reckon. More protein, more filling. Bananas. Who wants bananas? Blair. You know, I don't want John's bananas. I don't want my bananas. I don't want any bananas. Now, the
Jules just hates Greg no matter what. Greg could say, oh, I'm a lesbian. I'm like, you know, I love everything. And Jules would be like, no, I hate that. I'm sick of him. Like, seriously.
Yeah, Jules saying that the worst thing should have had a clue or an advantage. In retrospect, it should have. And I think that was a mistake of myself on reflection.
Oh my God, Greg's here. See?
Iconic. Greg is not happy. I've got you back. Greg. Don't worry. Can we talk about how Jules' eggs weren't? Okay, well, if they weren't cooked well, that's horrible. Hard-boiled eggs, uncooked. Soft-boiled, I guess. All right. what did you guys think about the challenge? It did go for a long time, but pretty epic immunity challenge.
Oh my God. I wanted to do that challenge so bad.
Yeah.
I would have
I
killed
feel
it.
like Chris would have slayed
a
that
Loz
challenge
winning
because he's
challenge.
such a skinny twink. He would have had like no weight to hold up. I feel like Chris would have won that.
I think, but his little feet would have hurt.
He's
I
And
think
he
fine.
would have
sadly-
been cold and wet.
The other sad point I'd say is, and obviously the camera just wasn't able to capture the magic of this because they didn't show it. Otherwise, they would have shown it. We brought everyone. No, so firstly, they did not think there was going to be a challenge. I think
No,
predominantly.
so they drank a bottle of wine and
Well-
then took
well-
him to a balance on a ball challenge.
Josh's boy, Matt C, from his Virac 4, brought them the
King.
bottle of wine, not knowing there was a challenge. All right?
Ah.
And he's like, here's a bottle of wine. How nice am I? And they all drank it. So they did not think there would be a challenge because why else did someone give them a fucking bottle of wine? But that was all like Matt C, like, you know, just sneaking out some booze.
Well, it was
And
a
so we
Matsy
bring them-
move with the red wine. And it was actually
Yeah.
not a bad red wine either. It was like a 2020. I was like, that's
Jules
got to
said,
be a
Jules only asked him if it was a challenge. He said no, which he probably thought was the truth. We bring them down and it's pitch black, right? Pitch black. And they're like, what the fuck is going on? And then the lights come on and they see all
It was
the
the
ropes dangling.
Handmaid's Tale. It was that
And
scene
they're like-
in the Handmaid's Tale where they take them all in and they turn around and there's all the gallows.
Yeah, and I
all
think
of a sudden they
someone
can
actually
do
shouted as well, like, light them up, and the lights went on, and they're like, it was.
So good.
Eden doesn't like the name Pepper Jack. Yeah, I agree. The best Melbourne name remains as Nivek, and I will die on a hill for that. Before we get to TWIOSLH, Jules, Loz, I believe you requested another tirade against the episode name.
I would like it to be a regular segment
Okay,
of Loz
time for Loz's
offering
segment.
alternatives. And actually, I don't actually have an issue at all with the episode name. So I'm just going to go to my other suggestions. I do think Pepper Jack being the most weird, bizarre merge tribe name could have been the episode title as well. You could have just called it Pepper Jack. But I have 4 other alternatives for the episode name.
They should have named the merge tribe Fuego. Yes, Purple Fuego.
So, Ash, this vote feels way too chaotic to be happening on a Sunday morning. Episode title. I think that's perfect. And I think it captures, because it felt like chaos from a viewer perspective. You kind of just went, I loved it. This vote feels way too chaotic to be happening on a Sunday morning. Jules was my second pick. I don't want to come this far to only come this far. Beautiful. Captures how we all feel. Greg, final 7 is further than final 9. Yes,
Yeah.
Greg. Yes, it is. Yep.
You can do math.
And my last one, I started it and I actually didn't work out how to finish it. It started 3 bananas, 2 boiled eggs, and ... And I never worked out how to end that particular title.
I think snake behavior and snake
Yeah.
behavior. There you go.
And snake
add that
behavior?
to- I quite like snake behavior. It's actually pretty good. Okay, but
do
yeah, I
have
think-
2 small comments before we get to TWIOSLH. One, sorry if I'm outing you, Ash, but there was a confessional at night, and Ash, it looked like you'd had something a little bit stronger and maybe a little more green than just Pepper Jack wine. I'm sorry, but you were giving Blaze Bandit 420 Queen. I was like, okay. She was a bit like, ooh, a bit spaced out. We love that though.
Who knows
Queen.
what Matt C hands out to people during the game? He's handing out wine. Maybe he's got other things in his pockets. I don't know.
Matt Scene was probably Tara, but yeah. And then Evan. I feel like we didn't talk about Evan enough.
We didn't talk about Evan.
Do we have any last
I
comments?
feel like we talked about him enough.
I think Jules
Oh.
feels we didn't talk about her and Danny enough. Just FYI.
Yeah.
I thought we
They
talked about
always
the
feel
heaps.
that way. We talk
Like-
about them every single episode. Every episode we talk about them.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I think Jules is annoyed that she hasn't got enough. Has she got an orca yet? I'm not sure. We'll have to talk about that when we come back. We'll talk a
Yes,
bit
I'm
about
sure we're gonna go on.
We'll talk about some more of your behavior in the orca discussion, all right, after TWIOSLH, because I think we'll talk about them both in the orca conversation, all right? All right, I'm seeing you there.
Okay.
It's already there. We should do a check-in, though, on the Orcas champions. We know the Wheel of Destiny spun up Nat, and obviously that didn't work out for the people, but the generosity that is CK gave the Orcas a chance to pick some people, and if they all made the top 5, I would still put on the drinks. So the Orcas champions, and it's worth a check-in now with 8 remaining. Those 3 Orcas champions are still in the game, if I'm correct. I think it was it Ash?
Evan, Ash,
Evan?
and Mars.
I said Mars, yeah.
Mars, Ash, and Evan.
Yeah. So the
I'll
orca
change
drinks
mine.
are still
Mars is toes.
it's still
So
in
bad.
what? What are you going?
Josh, no.
What did Josh say?
Really?
I said
we're
I'll
not talking
change
about the
mine
feet
to
again. We're not
I'll
talking
change
about
mine
his
to
toes.
Mars's toes.
Eden didn't like your toe stuff. He's alive in the chat. He didn't like the toe stuff. All right, I'm going to drop you out.
I didn't
We'll
like
come
it
back
either.
and we'll come back and we'll talk about the orca of the episode and the predictions for the next episode. So stick around for that. But for the moment, it is now time for. All right, it's time for TWIOSLH, and bringing in is our lovely hostess with the mostest. We haven't talked about her enough this episode, so more to come on the Jules and Danny show. Let's bring her in.
I can't believe you made a graphic.
The actual there was an AI ability to make it in the podcasting program, and it made it in about 2 seconds, so it was pretty cool, actually.
Yeah, you didn't talk about me enough. Never enough.
Yeah, fair. Okay. So our guest tonight, I'm going in undefeated on the season. This is quite the streak I'm on. And I'm a bit worried about tonight's competitor. It's actually quite ironic because we were talking earlier about rogue votes and how that can throw off your game. And this person was present in both of these rogue votes that I received. Firstly, he saw me freak out in the org, and then cast the rogue vote in Drunk Viver, knowing that I'd never believe it was him, and I would be just paranoid about it for the rest of the day, which I was. So he's the master of the rogue vote move. The fourth place finisher on Melbourne Survivor 2, which actually makes him second place under the Tour de France rules, which we've applied. So let's welcome the second placer of Warren Dirt, the TM. Welcome.
Warren Dirt in the house. What's up,
Any more
Jules? What's up,
questions
CK?
I have to ask you, is the gang better or worse than Pepper Jack?
Oh, like the gang is the worst tribe name I've ever heard. Pepper Jack is awesome. Like, have you ever had Pepper Jack cheese before? It's the best. Come on, that's a great tribe name.
Thank you. I think that was a Danny-ism. I think Danny got that one.
I love it. Oh, in solidarity with Danny, I've brought my dinner for tonight, a banana.
It's a
So
banana.
I mean, I was there when they put that bottle of wine on the table. Danny practically jumped over the table to reach it. She wanted to get her hands on that wine. So.
I mean, after that many sort of bad moves against her and everything like that, I'm sure she was needing the wine at that stage.
She did, yeah. All right, CM, do you need a refresher on the rules?
No, I should be fine, I think. We'll see how we go, but yeah.
I mean, basically,
rock.
I'll ask you a question. If you think you want multiple choice, you can take it, but you'll get less points. That's the basic gist of it. And then if CK doesn't get his right, you can try and steal. So our options for you, we have Melbourne 2, Melbourne 3, Melbourne Mystery Box, which is another Melbourne question from 1, 2, or 3, Canberra 3, Backyard 4, and Backyard 5. Where would you like to
I mean,
start?
And you can look at the phone a friend. You should, I don't know. In case there's no.
Oh, yeah, I've got the phone a friend if you want with our 2 orcas that are backstage.
Okay, great. No surprises. I'm going to go with Warren Diet.
Shock.
Let's go.
Okay, so the first individual immunity challenge was a wall sit. Who was the first person to drop out?
That would be my boy Ramsey.
That is correct. 2 points.
Yeah.
CK, where are you going?
What do you think? Playing with fire, baby. How hard did you make it?
Not that hard, if I'm honest. I'll be disappointed if you don't get this. Okay, so this is also the merge and also the immunity challenge. You guys were holding buckets of water over your head and you were offered temptations. Who dropped out for a piece of Vegemite toast?
It was famously John, who hates Vegemite. It still enjoyed the toast.
Yes, it was. All right,
Australia,
CM, you got
John.
the Melbourne Mystery Box, Canberra 3, Backyard 4, Backyard 5.
I'm going to go for Canberra.
Canberra versus the world. Okay. So this episode, there was an auction and then a split tribal. At the second tribal council of the episode, John was voted out unanimously, but who did he vote for?
Oh, okay. Now, John. Jeez. I think he voted for Pauline.
That is correct.
Yes.
Oof. Someone's done the research.
Yeah.
Ah.
CK, where you going?
I binge watched it this week and I didn't even know it was out and just binge watched it. I loved it. Great season.
Watch
Yeah.
a couple episodes and you're good.
Great season.
Give
Big
me-
fan of Loz. Hi, Loz.
Give me the Melbourne Mystery Box.
We are going back to playing with fire. Okay, so following the infamous CK chasing Laurel scene, which classic work of fiction did Kate compare it to?
Midsummer Night's Dream.
Yes.
Like the cherubs in the whatever.
All right, CM, Backyard 4, Backyard 5.
You still got to phone a friend
I
with
feel
Josh,
like-
of course.
Let's go, which one?
I've got the most recent, so Backyard 5.
Backyard 5. So at this tribal council, Tara played her shot in the dark and it landed on safe. How many votes did she negate with it?
Oh, geez. Okay, so who was there?
You're clicking around in there. I can hear a lot of clicking from CM.
Geez, I'm
Eddie's
trying to
Mickey?
remember who was there. It's like it says DC, Haley, Jacob, Mark, Zoe, Megan, Tarkan, Kate, Jess. Okay. And then a lot of them voted for DC. So there's 3 votes for DC, I believe. Tara negated herself. I think 4.
That is incorrect. CK?
Ooh.
Yeah, it's 5. You're going to get 1
Too good,
point for
CK.
that. Yeah. So,
Should have called in Josh.
actually,
Josh would have known.
already
Well,
won.
maybe.
You've already won, but I'm going to ask you the Backyard 4 question anyway. The immunity challenge saw players bouncing a ball on a disc. After dropping out, who attempted to play again, getting a worse time than their actual attempt?
That was almost Orca of the season, Casper.
Correct. So by
Well,
a
it was-
score of 7-4, it was again.
I have to
Couldn't beat
say that scoreline
I'm just annoyed
doesn't
that you-
justify. No, that scoreline doesn't justify what you brought to the game, CM. I think you were well researched,
Yeah,
well
that was-
organized, and knew your stuff. No
When you were
messing
talking
about.
through the votes on the shot in the dark, I was like, oh, he's going to get this, he's going to get this.
It was very close. You knew the DC
Oh,
got
I
3.
can't believe I didn't get it. I was thinking, I've got this, I've got it. Nah, it's not good
It
enough.
was a
But,
very impressive.
CK, the master, too good.
Thank you, CM, and thank you, Jules, for such wonderful
He's going to
questions.
go
Back-
undefeated.
Hopefully. That, you know what? If I'm undefeated the last episode, suddenly Dakota's going to appear out of nowhere again to kick my ass. That's what's
No.
gonna happen.
If you are undefeated, I will take you on.
And you're okay. All right, we'll see about that. All right,
Big matchup.
All right.
Look forward to that.
So, thank you.
Thanks
both.
for having me, guys. Cheers.
Thanks, CM. Thanks, Jules. All right, I'm going to remove that. I'm going to change the background back to our standard. I'm going to bring back our orcas for the final part of the show. Josh, would you have been able to get that answer right for CM?
I wasn't listening, to be honest. Sorry.
The question was, well, here we go. Let's see them better. How many votes did Tara negate by her successful shot in the dark play?
Nah, I would have gotten it wrong. I was thinking 7 in my head.
Okay. All right. Well, either way, it wouldn't have helped you. But CM was very impressive on that. But the Pauline answer was particularly good, I thought. Would you have helped him with that one, Loz? You weren't even there.
What?
You were on the other. Would you have known Pauline got that vote?
Oh, God, no. I don't know anything. Have I gotten a single thing right from my season yet? Was I there?
I think maybe one. All right. Okay. So
Was it luck? Did I guess?
I think it was the puzzle one who completed that puzzle that no one could complete.
Oh, yeah. It was between Bethany, and Bethany was on my tribe, so that was luck.
Yeah. Okay. So, Orca of the episode, we said we'd talk about Jules and Danny more. The Orca Award didn't exist at this time, nor did they know that they would be on this Orca podcast, but they were orcaing all over this episode. The Tribal Council in particular was Orca Central. They were big and bold. The confessionals, the Scorpio women confessionals. I don't know if we should be giving out joint Orca awards. And Jules is annoyed that we only talked about them as a pair and not individually. But this whole episode, they sort of were a pair. Like, they didn't exist individually in this episode.
They said that numerous times, that you don't get one without the other. So I think it's a pink girl. Well, it's pink. They're the only pinks left. I think it's a pink orca for the episode.
Who have we given orcas to? We've given it to Nat, Hannah, Greg. Has Danny had 2 and Jules 1? Is that right?
I think so.
Yeah, Ash has had one.
Has she?
I think so. Oh, I thought she had.
Or has Jules not had one? Jules, have you had one?
You might need to check the wiki out.
I think Danny has 2. I think we thought about giving Ash one, and we probably should have in retrospect. But do we have any other contenders? Josh, do you have a contender?
No, I think it's one of the girls, but we've had 2 people in the running before. Love them both, but I feel like it's unfair to give a joint one when previous weeks we could have done the same and we had to pick one. So I feel like it's unfair. My opinion, Can I throw another option? Liz. Go.
She was being fucking horrible to Aaron at that tribal council. She was just, what are you going to do, Aaron? What's your plan? You're on the bottom. What the fuck's going to happen? She was talking about strong.
Well, for going Mietta's orca energy, that the game's just going her way and she can win challenges and get to the end. I mean, throw Mietta into the mix. Ooh. She was there was nothing but confidence.
I don't know if you guys appreciate what's happening. Liz was channeling the entire vibe of production about the way the game was going in those questions. That's why she was so fired up, because we're like, somebody fucking do something or this game is going to be boring. We were so sure they were going to vote out one of Jules or Danny, and it was going to be this 7 thing was going to happen. And if the 7 of them made the final 7, could it have been more boring? That's the worst outcome. You can't control who gets voted out, and you cannot control who wins all the challenges.
We talked extensively about this at the start of the game, about these passive players who make it through and fly under the radar, and these big players who want to take out the other bigs. We talked about this at the start. I think you can predict it. I think you can.
All the stuff.
I think the cast is great, but I've always stood by I didn't probably get the tribe mixes right, and that's because I had to change it at the last minute because of the dropout. But I do feel that the mixes weren't quite right from a production point of view. That's my, and I'll own that. It's on me. But maybe I would have separated Jules and Danny, and this whole podcast wouldn't exist. So, like butterfly flaps.
I mean, it was 50-50 because you've got Danny doing this like in your face. Your whole game's going to be fucked. You got no chance of getting a vote at the end. Don't you guys know how this is going to play out? Like, just intimidating the shit out of.
She was actually channeling. She was channeling what I said to Caitlin. I said the exact same thing to Caitlin. I said, if you don't vote out Josh, she's going to win the whole game. I wouldn't vote for you. Like, that's what I said to her. And everyone
on the flip side, you've got Jules with an idol who's badass enough to go to tribal and not even play the idol for herself.
True.
So there was work. Jules was doing work. Like, that's ballsy. I would not. I don't know. I don't know what was going on, but I would have played the idol for myself. And maybe it would have been a bad play. I've never had an idol. Well, I'm never going to get an idol. Like,
Danny,
well,
do you want
honey, I mean,
water?
If there was a toilet door, you probably would have bailed them.
Yes, if you could have got them in one of those little holes in Uncharted Waters, would have back to the
like there was some real anger there.
But also, Danny, do you want this award or not? Why are you playing it down? Why do you reduce the orca levels? All right. Jules has said Danny's forfeited it by trying to defend her behavior, which is the least orca thing you can do. Danny, you should have said that you did more than me. All right. She's like, I would have logged them in. Too late. We've given it to Jules. It is now 2 for Jules and 2 for Danny on the season. Jules is very happy about this at the next stage. All right. What is going to happen?
They can jelly wrestle at the end of the game to see who gets the third one.
Well, there'll be a vote. At the end of the day, these weekly Brummies are meaningless. They're nothing but an indicator of who will ultimately be the orca as determined by the Congress of the Orcas, which all three of us are a part. So our opinion is incredibly valid. Loz. All right, Danny, again, this is why you're losing. You don't congratulate the opposition. Okay, so, Loz, what do you think is going to happen? Yeah, look, I think this is a fair point from Danny, actually, when she got a bit emotional. There's nothing wrong with crying, but...
we don't do emotion. Like, shut it down.
Wasn't angry
Shut
enough.
it down.
No
okay,
emotions.
so, Loz.
I'm private.
What's happening next week? Who's going?
I think it might be predictable.
Yeah,
I feel like we're
was...
lucky that we got the Aaron vote out to save Danny and Jules, and then it's just going to be an idol play, a 3-3 split. But that does open up potential for flipping and stuff. I really would hope maybe Ash, KK, and Evan flip in Danny and Jules' favor. That's what I'm hoping for. Do I think it will happen? No. But that's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah, I feel like this was it was a slight anomaly. It was an easy vote that potentially could take out an idol. Didn't flush the idol, and I think they'll flush it next round. I don't think Mars is playing so risk averse. I don't see a move. Ash is, I think she's sounding off Mars and seeing how he's playing, so I don't see a move. I think it's going to be one of our girls.
Okay, you have it here live on the Orca Pod. That is the call. Tune in Sunday for the next episode of Uncharted Waters to see how it all plays out. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Thank you, Loz and Josh. Thank you, Mark, for trying, but I hope you've been enjoying your time in Japan. Thank you, CM, for coming on and putting up a fair and enjoyable contest. Thank you, Jules, for the questions, as always. Thank you to everyone that was here live in the comments, very active, particularly Eden, very, very active in the comments tonight. Lots of opinions, as he always has, and very good opinions, mind you, as well. So thank you to everyone who was here live. Thank you to those of you that listen after the fact. We know you do, and we appreciate it. We will see you next week. Until then, we shall dance.
That's what we do.